An opportunity to present our work in this prestigious conference. We have done a comparative study on gaze estimation in visible and IR spectrum. So myself, Susmita Mohan, I belong to Imaging and Robotics Lab, part of HCL Technologies, based out of India. I have almost around 5 years of experience in imaging and machine learning based algorithm development. And I have worked in multiple algorithm development from scratch for aerospace, automotive, and other domains. And my co-author Manoj, he's a senior solution architect with wide experience in end-to-end product development in, again, the same domain, image processing and machine learning. So we have done this work on gaze estimation. So as all of you would know, this gaze estimation is nothing but where we look. And this particular domain has a lot of applications ranging from a driver monitoring system, where it is used to ensure that the person is attentive enough on the driving. It has like wide usage in online marketing and retail shopping, basically to understand the customer's interest and focus. And these days it's used in healthcare and psychological tests for diagnosing some of the neurological disorders, and has got applications in assistive and rehabilitative applications like controlling wheelchairs, robotic arms, prostheses, etc. And it's also used in gaming and gaze-controlled HMI systems. So we have done a comparative study on two of the popular methods used for gaze estimation. Method 1 uses an IR camera, and it tracks a point on the eye called corner reflection against the pupil center. So this corner reflection is nothing but a bright spot formed on the human eye cornea because of the IR illuminators. So this point can be tracked against the pupil center, and then we can estimate both horizontal as well as vertical gaze. So this is the method 1. This is compared against method 2, where the pupil center is tracked against the center of the eye. And in our whole research, we find advantages and disadvantages with both of these methods when we tested it under various scenarios. We have also measured the minimum gaze angle that can be measured with both of these cases. And for proper comparison purpose, we have used an infrared camera to capture data for this study. We hope our work can be a good reference for researchers working in the same field. So let me introduce the different eye features which we have used for our study. So those features includes the eye corner points, the iris, which is this black region. In the center of this iris, we have another black small region called pupil, and so this will be the pupil center. And this is that bright spot which I just mentioned. This is called corneal reflection. This is formed by the IR illuminators. So these are the different features of eye we have used for doing our analysis. And this is the data capture setup we have used. So we have created a fixed pattern. In this fixed pattern, we have markings in both horizontal as well as vertical direction. So in the horizontal direction, the gaze angle is varying from minus 45 degree to 45 degree with an offset of 5 degrees. So the center is 0. This is 5, 10, 15, up to 45. And in the negative x direction, it goes like minus 5, minus 10, minus 15 till minus 40. And in the vertical direction, the gaze range is from minus 30 degree to plus 30 degree, again with the same offset of 5 degree. So this is the fixed pattern we have created. And in front of this pattern, we have kept an IR camera. The camera, the lens is in line with the center of this pattern, which is 0, 0, 0 degree horizontal and 0 degree vertical. And the person stands in front of this camera. The height of the person's eye, the height of the lens from the ground, and the center of this pattern, all of them lies in the same horizon. And we captured images for when the gaze is on each of these points. So basically what we do is first the gaze is shifted to 5 degrees to the right, we capture an image, then 5 degrees again, we capture the next image. So that way we capture one set of image for one horizontal axis. Then we shift the gaze angle 5 degree up or down, and then we capture the next set of horizontal data. So this way we have captured the data set. As I already mentioned, for both these studies, we have used the same images because we wanted to accurately compare, and so we prefer to use the same set of images for both the corneal reflection based and pupil based method. Now, yeah, I already explained this, but getting into the gaze estimation method, in corneal reflection based method, this bright spot is tracked against this point, and in pupil based method, the center of the pupil is tracked against the center of the eye region. So to calculate the center of the eye region, we marked a horizontal line connecting the corner points of the eye, and the mid of it is taken as the eye center. So this is tracked against the pupil center. First we will see the corneal reflection based gaze estimation. This is the pupil center. This is the bright spot called corneal reflection. The distance between the pupil center and the corneal reflection in x-axis is taken as x, and the distance in pixels in y direction is taken as y. The diameter of the iris is taken as 2r, so the radius would be r. So the different measurements we have used would be x, r, x, y, and r. Now what we observed is when the gaze is exactly at 0, 0, so 0 degree vertical and 0 degree horizontal, then this point, this bright spot falls accurately on the center of the pupil. Now when the gaze shifts towards right, the corner reflection is moving towards left, and when the gaze is shifting towards left, the corner reflection is moving towards right. So the corner reflection is moving in opposite direction to the direction of gaze. But this movement of corner reflection with respect to gaze it's not found to be a linear relationship. So to find the relation between the position of the corner reflection and the gaze angle, we have plotted these values. So we have plotted x by r for each of the horizontal gaze angles. So at minus 50, this is my x by r, 0.6. At minus 40, it is 0.5. At minus 30, it is 0.2. It's at minus 20.2, minus 10.2, 0, 0. Now, if you subtract this subsequent values, the difference is not the same, which means the relation is not linear. And then to find the relation, we have actually tried fitting multiple curves, and we observed that a third order polynomial is fitting these calibration points effectively. So these are the different x by r values, and this is that curve which is fitting. And then we get this generic equation: horizontal gaze angle is equal to a constant a plus a constant b into x by r plus a constant c into x by r square plus a constant d into x by r cube. So this is one equation which is fitting the calibration points. One point which I missed to mention is, instead of just using x, we have used x by r, and instead of using y, we have used y by r, because we wanted this analysis to be independent of the image resolution and the distance of the person from the camera. So in the whole analysis, instead of x, we would see x by r, and instead of y, we would see y by r. So this is on the horizontal gaze estimation. Now we wanted to validate different other properties of this corner reflection movement. And then we have done a few other experiments. This is one of the experiment where we varied the vertical gaze angle, keeping the horizontal gaze angle constant. So I kept the horizontal gaze angle as 10 degree towards the right, and then I varied the vertical gaze angle, and then I measured the deflection in x-axis and found that to be constant. So this is the signal I get. Because of the change in direction, this is coming in the negative and this is in the positive, but the value x by r absolute value, if you see, that is constant with the change in the vertical gaze angle. So this is one experiment. And other experiment is, instead of keeping the camera in the same line of eye and the center of the pattern, we shifted the camera a little towards right, and then we found that the polynomial equation is, instead of passing through the center 0, 0, it's also shifting towards right. So these are just two experiments we have done, and then we wanted to see how generic is this curve fitting method. So if I generate a polynomial from one person, will the same polynomial work for a different person? So in order to find that, we captured this x by r values from three different people. So the red dots are the value from one person, green is value from person two, and yellow is value from person three. And then we mixed the values and we plotted a curve, and this is the curve. And if you see the error values of the coefficients, it is low. These error values are low. And then what we did is, with this same equation, we calculated the measured gaze estimation values for each of this person. And when we compared it against the actual versus the one which we get using this equation, we find the error to be almost 1 degree. So the error in horizontal gaze estimation with corner reflection based gaze estimation, we found that to be almost 1 degree. This is another experiment where we plotted y by r against varying horizontal angles. So when my horizontal gaze is shifting, what is happening to the vertical deflection? So in order to study that, we have plotted this, and then again we found this to be a constant. Now the point to note here is that these experiments holds true for a set of horizontal angles. Maybe we can say like till 30 degree, not beyond that. And in practical scenarios, it would be difficult for somebody to gaze at a point like 40 degree without turning the head. So if you want to look too much towards the right or the left, we usually turn the head and then look, instead of just looking straight and rotating the eyeball alone. We hope these values, these assumptions, or these experiments holds true only for some lower values of gaze angle. We repeated the same experiment for vertical gaze estimation. Again, we find a similar pattern in vertical gaze estimation. When the person is looking straight at the center of the pattern, the corner reflection is overlapping with the center of the pupil. When the person is looking up, the corner reflection is moving down, and when the person is looking down, the corner reflection is moving up. And we wanted to know if this is a linear relationship or is it something like a polynomial curve. So we have plotted y by r against different vertical gaze angles, and we found that it is a near linear relationship. So it can be something like y equal to mx plus c. So vertical gaze angle is a constant into y by r plus constant, next constant. And again, in vertical gaze estimation, we have done few other experiments as well. We've tried finding the relation between y by r and vertical gaze angles, whether it holds true if I vary the distance between the camera and the face, and it actually holds true. The relation is true even if you vary the distance between the camera and the person. And we measured y by r and vertical gaze angle at different horizontal gaze angles, and it shows similar pattern. So if it is 10 degree towards right or 20 degree towards right, the y by r relationship is almost constant. And we also have checked how generic is this vertical gaze estimation. So again, we repeated the same experiment. We collected data points from more than one person. We tried fitting the polynomial curve, and then we calculated the error, and then we found the error to be much less. And when there is a shift in the camera from the eye horizon level, then again there is a shift in the curve from 0. So we have all kind of similar observations for both vertical and horizontal gaze estimation. Now coming to the second method, pupil-based gaze estimation. So this is this point we are tracking against the center of the eye, and we have only two measurements here: the distance between the pupil and the center of the eye, and the width of the eye. So in this case, R would represent the width of the eye. Now when we plotted x by r against different horizontal, so no, before going there, we observed the pattern in movement of pupil with the change in gaze, and then we found that when I'm looking towards the right, my pupil also moves towards the right, and when I look towards left, the pupil also move towards left. It's the same case when I look up or down. When I look up, the pupil is up, and when I look down, the pupil moves down. So this is opposite to the property of corner reflection, where the bright spot was actually moving in the opposite direction to the change in gaze. Whereas in the case of pupil center, it moves in line with the direction of change of gaze. Now, to estimate the horizontal gaze angle from the position of the pupil, x by r value is plotted against different horizontal gaze angles, and again we found that a third order polynomial is kind of fitting these points effectively, and we also observe this relation to be holding true for varying distance between eye and camera, and this is also true at different vertical gaze angles. And we have also measured x by r at different vertical gaze angle with the horizontal gaze angle kept constant, and we get the similar. So this is the same thing which we observed with corner reflection also. And the next thing is that y by r is constant for different horizontal eye gaze angle. And again, we wanted to check how generic the method of pupil-based gaze estimation is. So we collected data from 3 different people. We mixed the values. So the red points are the calibration points from person 1, yellow being the data points from person 2, and green the points from person 3. So we tried fitting a curve, a third order curve, and you can see the points are much deviated from the curve. And if you see the error values of the coefficients, these are much higher compared to the error values we got for the corner reflection based method. And now when I use these values and calculate the gaze angle for person A, B, and C, we are getting almost 4-degree error with the pupil based method. And what we think is that unlike the corner reflection based method, in pupil based method we actually depend on the shape of the eye. So the shape of the eye can be different from person 1 to person 2 to person 3, and that is the reason for this higher error value with the pupil based method. This is on the horizontal gaze estimation using pupil, and we also wanted to see how we can estimate the vertical gaze angle with the pupil based method. So this is one diagram. So in the center portion, you have the vertical gaze angle 0 and the horizontal gaze angle 0. Now this is the center of the pupil, and I have drawn a reference line marked in red color. This is connecting the corner points. And when both the horizontal and vertical gaze angle is 0, this is where the pupil is lying. When I'm looking up, like positive 10-degree, we can see the distance between this point and this reference line has got more. And now when I look down of minus 10-degree, the distance has reduced, but still the point is above this reference line. So the problem in this method is we don't have a fixed reference point. Like in the case of corner reflection, we had the pupil center. But here for pupil center based method, we don't have that constant fixed reference point. So we found it a little challenging to estimate the vertical gaze angle from the position of pupil. The last experiment which we have done is that we wanted to measure what is the minimum gaze angle that can be measurable in both the methods. For this, we used a different pattern where the points are closely marked. Like for each 1 degree, I had a point marked. So a new pattern was created with this closely marked points, and we have used the same IR camera to capture the image. The images were of resolution 1280, 960, 964, and then the gaze was shifted by 1 degree in the horizontal direction. And then we measured the deviation of corner reflection and pupil from their respective reference points, and these are the values we got. And now if you have a close look at this table, we would understand that the minimum gaze change that can be measured with corner reflection based method would be 4 degree, and with pupil based method would be 3 degree. And this is true only for the given image resolution and the distance from the camera. So if the person stands more closer to the camera, then we might be able to measure even smaller gaze change. And it's the same if you use a much higher resolution image. So the pixels would be more, and then we might be able to measure much smaller gaze change with both of these methods. But for the given camera resolution and for the given distance from the camera, these are the values we are getting: 4 degree with corner reflection based method and 3 degree with pupil based method. Yeah, so this is the whole of comparison we have done with both of these methods. This is just a summary of that. So finally, what we observed is this corner reflection based method looks to be more generic compared to pupil based method, as the former doesn't depend on the shape of the eye. And we observed the error values to be around 1 degree, whereas in the case of pupil based method, this is found to be almost 4 degree. And with CR-based method, both horizontal and vertical gaze estimation is possible. But with pupil-based method, there is a challenge in estimating the vertical gaze angle from the position of the pupil. Now, CR corner reflection-based method needs infrared illuminators to illuminate the eye region and to form the bright spot on the cornea. Whereas the pupil-based method can work with any normal camera. So any visible spectrum camera should be fine for the pupil-based method. It doesn't need any IR illuminators. But if you see the real life scenarios, suppose if we are keeping a camera to monitor if a person is drowsy or not, like inside a car, if we place this system, there are scenarios where the person would drive during night. There are cases where we need to support low light and dark scenarios, and that is where we need sensors like IR cameras. Our normal visible spectrum camera would fail to capture the eye region. So if you see in that direction, an IR sensor is a better choice than a normal visible spectrum camera. Now the last experiment, the gaze resolution, I already mentioned, we are getting a better gaze resolution. The minimum gaze resolution is found to be better with the pupil-based method, as the movement is much faster compared to the movement of corner reflection-based method. To conclude, to choose a gaze estimation method is highly subjective to the use case it is meant for. We find advantages and disadvantages with both of the methods which we have looked into. So we feel choosing the right method would depend on the type of application, what is the precision we need, and what are the different kind of environmental conditions we would want to support. Yeah, so that's the conclusion. I have just kept a few of the references. And yeah, with this, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. Thank you all for your time. And if there are any questions, I would like to take that.